Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Monday live stream. So I have to tell you, things are looking good for treasuries, and not just for, of course, Bitcoin treasuries, but for Ethereum treasuries. And there was a post this afternoon from Blockchain, and it states NASDAQ listed Fundamental Global announced it has acquired 47,000 Ethereum using its entire 200 million private placement. Company will stake and restake its holdings to participate in real-world assets of Ethereum. Providing custody will be Galaxy serving as asset manager. And there was actually a post where Fundamental Global is talking about raising not just 200 million, but somewhere in the $5 billion over time to buy Ethereum. And this is just one more company and one more of the treasuries. And if we can take a look at, and of course, this is what interests me is, well, what's the price doing? And of course, if we take a look at Fundamental Global, NASDAQ ticker FGNX, it was a pretty good day. And these are the types of numbers that I don't expect to see in traditional markets, especially equities and stocks. But I mean, look at this, 15% in one day. And we actually talked about this last week. We actually talked about this in the weekend. And we're going to talk about some other things as time goes on. But I mean, this is not a bad play. This is I'm not going to say it's a safer play. I'm just going to say it's a very speculative placement if you're looking to get in there. But I mean, for me, this looks like a pretty good one. Now, I've been buying this for a week or so. So, I mean, I'm very biased in the things that I talk about because I think it'll do well. And we take a look. Fundamental Global is just kind of getting started. Over 5 days, it's up 12.5%. But you know, over a month, 26. Over 6 months, though, 1 year and 5 years, not too great. And that's because there was no talk about having things as far as like Ethereum. Now, of course, as time goes on, we hear about the Ethereum treasury and then boop, there it is. It concerns me about these companies. Are they just in this for just to put it on the balance sheet and then to ride that wave, or do they really believe in it? I guess only time will tell. And that's what we have. So if we take a look at, because my question is, they're buying, 47,000 Ethereum, which is a pretty good amount. But if we take a look at that, what does that mean in like a daily amount for all the different treasuries for Ethereum? This is a website called Strategic ETH, or ETHreserve.xyz. I need to link this in the description. I'll try to get that. But if I don't, Strategic ETHreserve.xyz. We can just see here as we blow things up, this is the Strategic ETH Reserve plus ETFs and how much Ethereum is being bought up. I am not going to talk to you about supply shocks. I've heard about supply shocks since I got into the crypto asset space in 2017. I will just say there's a lot of people buying. That's all I can really tell you. But you can see here that, the last day or so, we went from 8,836,773 to 8,954,724. So they're gobbling up in a very short amount of time, just like 120,000 ETH, give or take or so. And that's just one of the things. So if we talk about this and we're thinking about, okay, it's 120,000 Ethereum. Who are the other big players in there? Well, there's Tom Lee's company, BitMine. And it looks like they have 1.2 million at almost $5 billion valuation. And of course, this company is trying to do the same exact thing. But you've also got SharpLink Gaming, Ether Machine, even the Ethereum Foundation is number 4, which is fine. But speaking of that, as far as BitMine, today was another great day for them as well. Again, this is stocks. And these are the things that maybe could be put into your portfolio. I can't give you financial advice, just tell you that I've done it myself and it's looking pretty good so far. And I think there's a lot of room to run, but who knows? Because BitMine here for a day, it's up 15%. This is not something that I would expect to see in equities. I would expect that to see stuff like that in like the crypto market, but not 15% in a day. How about 5 days? Whoopsie, 90% almost. Actually, it was over 105%, but it looks like there's been a little bit of a downward regression. That's normal. Over a month, 46%, 6 months, 832.5%. And there was the announcement in June 27th. And now here we are. And even if we go back to the main point, 135, you're looking at a 2x. I think definitely possible. But to get back to the point, how much Ethereum is being gobbled up. You have 120,000 Ethereum being gobbled up in a day by this Ethereum strategic reserve, also for ETFs. Well, how inflationary is Ethereum? Well, take a look at this, ultrasound.money. And we just see here under burn, supply growth, and issuance, it's 972,000 ETH per year. Supply growth is 0.77%, which is very, I mean, it is slightly inflationary. We can agree on that. But I mean, it's not near inflationary like, we'll say, like fiat cash and the US dollar. But take a look at this. If we take a look at, 1 day, we can see that the supply chain there's an increase of 2,530 ETH. Okay. How about in 30 days? In 30 days, there's a supply increase of 73,596 ETH. How much was gobbled up in 1 day with the ETH and Ethereum strategic reserve? It was roughly 120,000. So not double, but pretty close. And that's a pretty good amount when you're thinking about these treasuries and these ETFs gobbling up Ethereum. I'm still hesitant to say supply shock, but when there is large demand and there's only so much that can go around, you know what happens to the price. But your next question probably is, who cares about Ethereum because Bitcoin is more deflationary? Is it? Well, let's just add that in, shall we? So Bitcoin, as it's being produced by the miners, is actually 0.827% per year. And Ethereum is 0.74% per year. Now, you can check this out, do your own research. The website's very easy, ultrasound.money, and of course you can go through it. But I will tell you, it makes an interesting case for Ethereum and moving things around and just the fundamentals, not just to say, well, number go up. We can see that there's a lot of things going on in the background, smart contracts. We saw Robinhood pick up layer 2 solution, which is Arbitrum, and try tokenizing real world assets as opposed to, as well as all the different treasuries gobbling these things up. What I'm trying to say is this is looking pretty good. We'll see how it goes. But there's also one little wrinkle, which is we talk about these treasuries that are coming in, but here's the dark horse. This is from Look On Chain. Didn't have this on my bingo card. There's a mysterious institution accumulating Ethereum in the background. And they accumulated 49,533 Ethereum, which is worth 212 million, which is more than what this NASDAQ listed fundamental global did of 200 million. So just some random organization, institution, business, treasury, who knows, just accumulating $212 million worth of Ethereum on a whim. Over the past week, they've accumulated $946 million, or almost $1 billion, from Falcon X, Galaxy, and BitGo. Now, later on, we may find out that this is a very common treasury and we just didn't know about it. But as of right now, as far as Look On Chain, we can see that it is a little bit of a mystery of what's going on. And that could be potentially why Ethereum has gone above whatever it is, 3,400. Correct me, I don't even know what the price is today. So there is these weird outliers. And then let's compare ETFs right now. Bitcoin ETFs doing strong. And we can take a look. We don't have the numbers for today, but as far as like last week, BlackRock's put a pretty sizable amount in, double 7th of August of 360 million. And then, wow, Grayscale buying Bitcoin. Crazy. Actually, it's BlackRock and Fidelity. But what about Ethereum? Well, with Ethereum, it didn't match that, but it's still pretty heavy. It went from, again, BlackRock, 103.5 million on 7th of August, 8th of August, which is Friday, 254 million, then Fidelity, 132, and then who bought 1.2? Invesco, wow. And then Grayscale buying a bunch of it, actually. So if we put this all together, it was 461 million as opposed to, look at that, 403 million. This might be one of the few days that the ETF flows were more positive to Ethereum. So take that with a grain of salt. Things are looking pretty good, but there is something on the horizon tomorrow that could derail a little bit of all the different pumpology and bullishness. CPI numbers come out tomorrow. CPI year over year and core CPI year over year, which is what is somewhat looked at as far as inflation. Usually the Federal Reserve takes a look at PCE, but core CPI are just another numbers that we can see how bad inflation is getting, if it is getting bad. And if we see a big spike up of inflation, that might not be too good to cut those rates, even though the job market is poor, because it's a dual mandate for the Federal Reserve. One is to fight inflation. The other one is to make sure that the economy is strong. Very difficult to do both. So if we see inflation high, it will probably drop the market a little bit. So just be aware of what's happening. And we can see that the CPI, curbing consumers, and all that great stuff, that I know that people are angry at Jerome Powell and the Federal Reserve, but remember, I mean, if we just take a look at year over year, they did a pretty good job from like 9% all the way down to 2.38, and then a little bit of an uptick at 2.67%. So we'll see if it keeps going up. We never know. So that's some bad news. And then lastly, before we get into the little Q&A, I want to remind everybody that it doesn't matter how much you make. It doesn't matter how much and what a great trader you are and everything else. What matters is how much you keep. And we know that there is a ton of hacks and different problems out there. So it's great if you make millions. It's great if you make hundreds of thousands. It's great if you make tens of thousands or whatever you're making. But just remember that you're susceptible. So this was a report out of Cointelegraph. At least one Bitcoiner gets kidnapped every single week. Don't know if you knew this. I didn't know this. This is kind of eye-opening. Elena Vronova, founder of Satoshi Labs, warned of an increase in wrench attacks, physical assaults, and abductions carried out against Bitcoin and crypto holders, people like you and me. I don't know how much you've made, but if you have, well, I'll just read this. If you have 6,000 or more, you're a target. $6,000 or more. Every week, there is a Bitcoiner, at least one in the world, who gets kidnapped, tortured, extorted, and sometimes even worse. What seems to be a problem only for Bitcoin OGs is not really the case. We have seen cases of kidnappings for as little as $6,000 worth of crypto and people murdered for $50,000 in crypto. Oh, I told you, when you come on my channel, I don't give you all the good news. You have to get fed some bad stuff so you're ready. Lastly, the rise in wrench attacks against crypto holders is a disturbing trend, with physical attacks against Bitcoin in 2025 on track to double the worst year on record. Data leaks from centralized exchanges, Coinbase, allow violent criminals to target crypto holders and their families. We currently have more than 80 million Bitcoin and crypto user identities leaked online. 2.2 million out of those contain home addresses. I got a good story after this. These attacks are correlated with Bitcoin prices, and the frequency of the attacks rise during bull markets. And in May, crypto exchange Coinbase had a problem. But the bigger thing, I think, is in June, a report from Cyber News uncovered databases containing more than 16 billion people. No. There's 8.1 billion people in the world. There's no way that's correct. Containing more than 16 billion leaked user login credentials. Wow, okay. From platforms like Apple, Facebook, and Google, meaning that you're more susceptible, we're all more susceptible to phishing, social engineering, hacking, identity theft, and blah, 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 blah. Here's the solution. Storage diversification. I got a few ledgers, a few tangems, and I also use iTRUST for custody and Roth IRA. There is a link in the description. Crypto Critical Videos. It's number 3. It's called Storage Diversification. Just watch it. That's it for today. So look, if you like today's video, give it a thumbs up. Consider subscribing. We talk about is time sensitive. Now we'll do a little Q&A and we'll get to all your questions. All right. Dan wrenches assemble. Exactly. Joby says, they called me and tried to scam me. I called them out. They said my address and asked if I keep my ledger in my home. They began naming my children. Wow. Let that sink in. They called me and tried to scam me. I called them out. They said my address and asked if I keep my ledger in my home. They began naming my children. I tell you right now, I don't know what the world's coming to, but here was the story I was telling you. When I was in Bitcoin Las Vegas, I was talking to a group of guys who, they're on the show a good amount. They're a show partner. And they said, I get these emails and it'll say stuff like, we know how much Bitcoin you have, and they'll name how much Bitcoin I have. They'll name actually everything that I have. And then they'll send a picture of my house. and they'll say, this is your address. I don't think they talked about this guy's kids and his wife, but they said, here's your address, here's how much you have, pay us X amount and we won't bother you. Don't pay us and you'll find out the problems you're gonna have. And I was like, so what did you do? I was like, F those guys. He goes, I got guns in the house and, good luck. And we've talked about this before, but I was pretty flabbergasted. I'm like, wow, so they send you a picture of your own house? He goes, yeah, but it's like Google Maps, not like they were right there. But I'm just saying, this is why I worry about everybody. Because, look, $6,000 and people are getting wrench attacked. For you, it might not be $6,000 might not be much. But for a guy who's like, you know what? I'm down on my luck. I need some fentanyl. And I've only got this wrench, maybe a knife, maybe a pistol. And I know somehow this guy's got crypto. Very easy to move around. I don't know. Seems weird. People are messed up. Very true. What the F? Very true. People are sick. Yeah, Crypto Esquire. If you have more than $10, you're a target of someone. Don't worry. Be vigilant. Live your life. Yeah. What else can you do? I have about 1,000 rounds of extra protection. It's pretty simple. I don't think it's a question of if. I think it's a question of when. So just diversify. Like me, I got a problem because I'm always talking about it. Hopefully, people don't watch my channel who are going to eventually wrench attack me. But they'll be like, hey, didn't you say you have like multiple ledgers and tangems? I'm this close. I'm this close to just putting everything into an ETF and or iTRUST and just be like, good luck getting that. Because then it has to go through banks because it just can't come out as crypto. And with the banks, they got a KYC and AML. So there's a link to you. Good luck. I might just do that. I'm going to do that. Yeah, I'm going to definitely do that. Too much. Like I have to do it. You don't have to do it because you're not in the public. So it's up to you. I've been threatened by potential cowboys and what they know is scary. There's a joke in all of this. And if someone tries to rob me, then I'll help them try and find some money. So skint. That's funny. Kamikaze, you didn't miss much. We just talked about the opportunities with stocks, which is not something I talk about on this channel. One of those was Fundamental Global. I did a really good job in 13%. And well, let's see, in 1 day, 15%, in 5 days, 13, and in 1 month, 26. It's pretty good. Not bad. And then there was one more thing I was going to show everybody. I didn't do it. Damn it. I think this is important to consider. So Fundamental Global is just getting off the ground because the announcement of them going through Ethereum, I think, was sometime in July 30th, 31st, right? And then BitMine, their obvious announcement was on end of June, early July. But look at this. Remember when MicroStrategy announced that they were going to put Bitcoin on their balance sheet? That was back in August of 2020. The price was $14. And then when we had the blow off top, actually, that's not even right. I went to $61. That's weird. Went all the way up in February and then dropped down in April when Bitcoin was going crazy. Interesting. But then look at that. As time went on and people held stuff, $178, not too bad. Went up to 387. And they're the first. So I think people are going to look at MicroStrategy and go, man, what was before a Bitcoin treasury and what is after? I think in some of these, they're going to be like, okay, what was before an Ethereum treasury and what is after? So plan accordingly, I suppose. I guess this is Digital has 120,000 ETH on a balance sheet. Stock is down, though. They're going to get bought by Tom or someone else. Doesn't matter to me, as long as the price goes up. Harness Digital Intelligence and Harness Digital Capital. Okay. Mohammed says 150K is the top for Bitcoin. Sure, why not? Let's see. I see the World Mobile Vault in your bookmarks. Yeah, Dominic, I'm one of the first ones to have a World Mobile phone. matter of fact. So I'm running my service off of them. Works fine. I mean, call and text, very fast. Free VPN. Also, you get 5 million SIM swap insurance is pretty cool. And all that's really great. And like I've said before, it's pretty awesome when you have like real world utility, right? And that's what everybody talks about, you know, real world utility for crypto. And once we get real world utility, that's when things are going to take off. And I'm like, all right. So World Mobile has phone plans that you can buy here in the States, not in some third world nonsense country that has no money. It's in the United States, 99.9% coverage in the United States. And their token, World Mobile token, is up a whopping 3.5%. Watch out. This is why I say, well, 5.6 and 70, but it's down 8% in a month. I don't know what that is, 18%, 20%. How about max? Yeah, pretty bad. So again, I'm not saying that World Mobile is bad because their price is bad. I'm just saying World Mobile service is awesome. It's just that let's not kid ourselves and say that this is all about utility, because it's not. Speculation. Let's see. Tesla under 350 is a gift. Yeah, I can agree with that. How do you turn the ceiling fans on and off on your green screen? Oh, they just go. I just tell the guys from Fiverr, today I need you to turn the fans on, and sometimes turn the fans off, and then I just put this on a loop. Yeah. Baltimore is still the third world. So is Minneapolis, DC, Philly. I don't know. I've actually never been there. Ooh, any free giveaways coming up, Rob? Yes, I'm going to give away 2 TANGEM wallets, which you should already have a couple. So I'll do a giveaway of 2 TANGEM wallets, but just so you know, we get like 10,000, 20,000 views a video. But someone's going to win those 2 TANGEM, and we're going to do it every month from now on. Every month we'll do 2 TANGEM giveaways. But if you don't want to wait, there's a link in the description. You get 10% off. You don't have to use it, the affiliate link, but you don't get that 10% off. So. Says World Mobile is not available in my area. Where do you live? That's interesting. If Coinbase gets hacked, how would they pay back to BlackRock or customers? Do they have insurance? I wonder. They do, but it's, as I understand it, it won't cover everything. So that's pretty bad. How about a 1 Bitcoin giveaway? How about absolutely not? Get multiple phones. Yeah, that's another way. My gut tells me this bull run will be over before we know it. October could surprise people. Everyone waiting for November, December, and the market usually doesn't give everyone what they want. True. Historically speaking, October, November, December is pretty great. I mean, 2017, 2021, but you may be right. And maybe all the smart money gets out quickly. Or maybe they get out too soon. I don't know. I know I'll probably be taking some profits anyhow. So LAX says I use Ledger, no problems. Moving over the Fidelity cold storage soon. Perfect. Pizza with pineapple says, Rob, can you please show social risk indicator? I looked at it today. It's in the toilet. No one's watching anything. Let's see. Hey, Rob, give me a TANGEM. Well, I can't just give. It has to be like a raffle so everybody has equal opportunity. Uzi says everyone is negative today. I was pretty positive for the first part of the video. Then there's one in the toilet and that last one for the wrench attack. But, yeah. AI green screen. I think that's it. That's it. All right, everybody. It's hot today. So that's it for this one. We'll do the, I'll get the information about the TANGEM giveaway tomorrow, and we'll go from there. But that's it for today. Thanks so much, everybody, for stopping by. I appreciate you, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Adios.